I'm going to say it could be a trap. You're going to say you're being wild and crazy. But that's what I have to be.
They set mousetraps for the bear that is President Trump, and he walked through them.
She walks on it, it stops, she turns around to the president, and she just leads the president up and walks. So she was unfazed by it. But this could have been a massive issue. And you know, the president being frozen there in one place makes him vulnerable.
Yeah. Unless he can walk, then they act like they dropped him into shark-infested waters. It was an escalator. You know what another word for frozen escalator is? Stairs.
Donald Trump's plan is to do what he did last time, which was give another massive tax cut to billionaires and big corporations. And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good, because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him.
Trump desired to go down in history as a titan. However, whenever his name is mentioned, it sounds less like Mount Rushmore and more like a late-night comedy sketch that was turned down. He has earned jokes rather than statues. He receives memes in place of monuments. Additionally, the current president provokes eye rolls rather than respect. Barack Obama and Jimmy Kimmel can help with that. Equipped with a sense of humor that surpasses politics, he simply dispels the idea that Trump clings to like a cheap fragrance.
He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing the Commons.
Please click the bell symbol and subscribe to the channel if you like this video. Kimmel quickly depicts the president as the analog of a broken GPS in human terms. Loud, obstinate, and unwaveringly correct, he consistently steers the nation toward failure. Trump bases his navigation strategy on his ego and whatever comes to mind at 3 in the morning, not on logic or facts. It feels fantastic to swerve haphazardly into mayhem rather than turn right at the next intersection.
They act like they dropped him into shark-infested waters. It was an escalator. You know what another word for frozen escalator is? Stairs. I'm starting to get confused. Is he the strongest, healthiest, most physically powerful man-beast ever elected president, or a brittle-boned grandma with osteoporosis? Which is it?
Obama adopts a long-term perspective with his characteristically composed speech. He doesn't have to yell or complain. He merely exposes the folly of a man who believes that Twitter fads are governing. While other presidents have left behind legacies based on leadership and legislation, Trump's record is a litany of outbursts. He has turned international summits into reality TV shows and press conferences into circus acts. Obama doesn't even consider partisan differences to be an issue. It's about seeing the nation's highest office turn into a caricature of itself.
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes. I heard someone compare Trump to the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of every day. From a neighbor, that's exhausting. From a president, it's just dangerous.
Kimmel focuses on Trump's fixation on crowd sizes, making fun of the way the president views each event as a competition for his own approval. Trump counts heads in a stadium like a teenager updating likes on Instagram rather than concentrating on the world situation. The irony is that the laughter just gets louder because of his desperate need for praise. It doesn't take much effort for comedians to make a leader look dumb when they spend more time making up stats than fixing issues.
The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. No, they weren't. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. That I can't argue with. Shut the up. The freedom of speech is only for me.
Obama skillfully juxtaposes the hard truth of the results with Trump's ceaseless self-praise. Under his watch as lofty aspirations have given way to shattered agreements, strained relationships, and never-ending scandals. What should have been a golden age now appears to be a credibility clearance sale. Furthermore, Obama reminds everyone that genuine leadership doesn't cry out for applause, in contrast to Trump's incessant demands for praise. It gains it by producing outcomes. Naturally, Trump conflates applause with echo chambers, encircling himself with jaded supporters who chuckle when everyone else chuckles.
It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
Kimmel relentlessly exposes the absurdities of Trump's everyday routine. Whether every little thing screams insecurity, whether it's the excessive use of hand signals, the incorrect pronunciation of simple words, or the strange obsession with giving opponents nicknames. The Oval Office is now open mic night thanks to him. However, the jokes aren't amusing. They are merely depressing attempts to appear tough. The humor comes from witnessing a man who consistently thinks he is the brightest person in the room, despite demonstrating this with every word, not from wit. Obama draws attention to the world stage by highlighting how both supporters and opponents view Trump more as an entertainer who dabbled in politics than as a statesman. Trump replaces the subtlety, patience, and expertise that were once necessary for diplomacy. Swagger and bluster. Obama doesn't have to make things up. All the evidence required is provided by foreign leaders rolling their eyes at Trump's antics. Great accomplishments won't be remembered in history books. They will mention the slapstick comedy that America put up with a president who cared more about praise than advancement. Ever the late-night sniper, Kimmel mocks Trump's obsession with appearance. Awkward hair flaps, spray tans, and that unending frown. Everything turns into ammunition. The world's most powerful man is frantically trying to persuade everyone that he should be featured on a magazine cover.
President, why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? Who puts the network in jeopardy? You hear that? There's the threat again. This time straight from FCC Biscuit's mouth. He goes, he says, I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers.
Obama takes a different tack when addressing the ridiculousness. Legacy. Each and every president thinks about how they will be remembered by history. Trump, however, goes to extreme lengths with it. He desires greater headlines, lengthier speeches, and taller monuments. But the more he strives, the more evident it is that history will not accept him as a visionary. Rather, he will serve as a warning about what happens when a brand takes the place of a brain. Obama can make his point without becoming angry. Reflecting calmly is sufficient to show that Trump's actual legacy is absurd. Kimmel maintains the pace by making fun of Trump's strange approach to the truth. For a man who is obsessed with being correct, he consistently manages to be incorrect. Each phrase seems appropriate for a blooper reel. Researchers, economists, generals were all ignored in favor of a man whose instincts have only brought him mockery. Kimmel likens Trump's administration to witnessing someone claim to know a shortcut that leads directly into traffic while refusing to use a GPS. Obama reminded the audience that true power doesn't yell. It does not need to. Trump sells this fiction to his supporters, but Obama exposes it as phony bravado painted gold by emphasizing this disparity.
So we have the spectacle of my successor in the Oval Office making broad claims around certain drugs and autism that have been continuously disproved. And the degree to which that undermines public health, the degree to which that can do harm to women.
Kimmel considers Trump's fixation on TV ratings to be hilarious. The current president uses Nielsen scores rather than previous policies to gauge performance. He handles emergencies like sweeps week and national addresses like pilot episodes. Every pronouncement is inflated and every appearance is orchestrated, as if the entire nation were his captive audience. The joke is that Americans aren't amused. It's worn out. The president is now more of a constant quest for relevance than a role of leadership. Obama returns to the intimate. He remembers how previous leaders handled extreme pressure with dignity, realizing that the position required self-control and humility. Trump, on the other hand, enjoys disruption and thinks that loudness equates to power. The catastrophe is that the office used to represent stability, but under Trump, it now reflects his own erratic behavior. Obama does not have to yell about the harm. Every headline and every cry of incredulity from around the world make this clear. Kimmel's mockery of Trump's preoccupation with golf is merely the beginning of a much larger comedic buffet. The golf cart has turned into the real cabinet seat for a man who promised to labor nonstop.
Donald Trump would try to prove he wasn't threatening ABC by threatening ABC. And you almost have to feel sorry for the people who work for him, who try to clean up the messes. They've been bending over backwards to say, oh, he never threatened. J.D. Vance today made the claim that what the FCC chairman said was a joke, which, I don't know, maybe that was a joke? I don't know. They go to all these lengths to say, oh, it wasn't coercion. The president was just musing. And then the second Trump is alone, he sits on the toilet, he gets his grubby little thumbs on his phone, and he immediately blows their excuses to smithereens and says, it was ratings that got me fired.
The more you see how stupid he is, the more. Spent years discouraging those who played too much golf. His own haven, a grassy haven from responsibility, is now the precise thing he ridiculed. A reoccurring joke about a president who runs on a platform of working harder than anyone, but ultimately focuses on his short game, is created by Kimmel, who takes advantage of this inconsistency. It's the irony that late-night comedians adore, with the premise essentially speaking for itself. However, Kimmel goes beyond just highlighting the time spent on the green. He draws attention to the exorbitant expenses, emphasizing how public money was used to fund and safeguard these never-ending excursions. Time squandered is no longer the sole topic of the joke. The issue is one of resource waste. As the typical American gets more frugal, the more you see how stupid he is, the more. Spent years discouraging those who played too much golf. His own haven, a grassy haven from responsibility, is now the precise thing he ridiculed. A reoccurring joke about a president who runs on a platform of working harder than anyone, but ultimately focuses on his short game, is created by Kimmel, who takes advantage of this inconsistency. It's the irony that late-night comedians adore, with the premise essentially speaking for itself. However, Kimmel goes beyond just highlighting the time spent on the green. He draws attention to the exorbitant expenses, emphasizing how public money was used to fund and safeguard these never-ending excursions. Time squandered is no longer the sole topic of the joke. The issue is one of resource waste. As the typical American gets more frugal,
Donald, how can someone so old be so childish? It's Benjamin can't button his pants. You know, we talk about how much time Trump wastes playing golf. He seems to be spending a lot more time posting dumb AI videos lately. Our governor, Gavin Newsom, has been roasting him online, and so now Trump is doubling up. Last night, he posted a whole string of deep fakes, including these.
Hey, look at this! Donald Trump! Donald Trump!
Yeah, that's what he was meant to do, repost videos with his head pasted on a man whose thighs don't rub together.
And that's where Obama and Kimmel's differences really stand out. Kimmel's humor. Hurt because they draw attention to the commonplace absurdities, waste, and hypocrisy. The absurdity of a man who plays golf nonstop while feigning to be industrious. Obama's remarks are more profound because they expose a reality that cannot be denied, not because they are angry. Trump's penchant for playing golf is not a unique occurrence. It is a continuation of a philosophy that values individual luxury over group advancement. Kimmel goes one step farther and compares Trump's leadership to a golf scorecard that is continuously altered, exaggerated, and fudged to make him appear better than he actually is. The same way that golfers give themselves, Trump gives himself countless justifications because he is a generous mulligan. It's never his fault when something goes wrong. Instead, it's the course, the wind, or the regulations. His presidency is no different. Every excursion conveys exclusivity, luxury, and status. Everything that Trump cherishes most. However, he diminishes the office's gravity in the process, turning it into just another prop for his continuous reality show.
I hear from no one. I did hear from one very special friend. Moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, "I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back." You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back.
Kimmel thinks the optics amusing. During emergencies, a president in Gulf spikes. The best split-screen comedy is unfold back in Washington. Keeping regular Americans off the fairways of his private clubs was the only wall Trump ever really committed to erecting, he laughs. The negligence alone isn't the joke. It's in the ridiculous picture of a leader pretending to ignore history while hiding behind golf carts. Obama contextualizes the visuals with his composed delivery. Playing golf is more than simply a hobby. It's a way to avoid responsibility. Trump's retreat from the demands of leadership is always indicated when he leaves the course. Rather than facing, he confronts issues head-on by burying them beneath tea times and sand traps. Obama's analysis emphasizes that Trump constantly replaces presence, involvement, and perseverance with relaxation, all of which are necessary for the presidency. It has to do with how triumph is seen. Maybe someone will believe you if you convince yourself you're winning enough times. That is cheating in golf. It's pandemonium in politics.
Speaking of Vladimir Putin, Trump held a virtual meeting with leaders from the EU today to talk about that war in Ukraine. He said he would end in 24 hours. This is his thing now. He wants a Nobel Prize, is what he's fixated on, so he's constantly blabbing about all the wars he's stopped.
We stopped 3 wars, go to Africa. They like to say, oh, you know, I love black people.
That's true. Did you know he ended the Infinity War in Wakanda? That's how much he loves black people. Every time he speaks now, he says this. He says, no one has ended more wars, and no one has ever worked harder for peace than Nelson Mandela.
Obama emphasizes the point by situating Trump within the range of past. He considers how previous leaders managed their hobbies and the tremendous demands of government without allowing pleasure to take precedence over work. In contrast, Trump makes his pastime a defining feature of his presidency. It is more than just a pastime. It represents the disengagement of a leader who prioritizes personal fulfillment over public service. The focus of the golf course shifts from sport to spectacle, a stage on which success is performed without the substance. Obama and Kimmel together analyze the farce from 2 perspectives, satire and criticism. Kimmel exposes the theater, hypocrisy, and everyday absurdity. Obama discloses the fundamental tragedy, the devaluation of a position that was formerly characterized by selflessness. Trump's golfing is more than simply a joke. It serves as a paradigm for all that his presidency stands for. Kimmel makes jokes out of it. Obama presents it as a diagnosis. However, both lead to the same conclusion. Everything we need to know about Trump's tenure in office can be found in his time on the course.